Hello and welcome to the Real Positive Girl podcast. My name is Sabrina. Thank you so much for listening, downloading, sharing the show. I truly appreciate it. I just love how people are continuing to love and enjoy the show. And if you do love and enjoy the show, and if you are able to leave a 5-star review or to just leave some sort of uplifting comment or interesting description of the show from your point of view on whatever podcast platform you listen to the show, I would greatly appreciate it. That would just help bring more people into listening to the show and give me the opportunity to help even more people. So if you were able to do that, I would greatly appreciate it. Also, if you wanted to come by and just chat with me and connect with me on Instagram, I am at Sabrina Joy Perozzo, or you're welcome to send me an email as well. All of that information is in the description box, along with all the notes for the show. But again, I appreciate you listening. I appreciate you downloading and sharing the show. So let's get right into the episode. Thanks so much, guys. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Real Positive Girl podcast with me, Sabrina. Happy Wednesday. I hope that you're having a fantastic day today. Just a reminder that this week we are talking about how to know you're growing. And today, Wednesday, we are going to specifically talk about you can accept those different from you. But before we get into that, as always, I am going to talk about the 5-minute reset, because if you're having a tough day, if you're feeling stressed, overwhelmed, there's just a part of your day that you would rather move on from and forget, you can always do the 5-minute reset, which is just a quick reset, reboot, restart for your day right then and there. It allows you to take a break from any issues or burdens that are dragging you down. You can also take some time to come up with any resolutions for any problems or issues you're dealing with alone or with others. And I always encourage everyone to come up with a list of things that you are grateful for. 4 things minimum. They can be big, small, or medium size. Maybe you're grateful that you just booked a vacation in the future. That's super exciting. Or maybe you're grateful that you had some time to actually pick up around your home and you feel really good about that. Anytime I have time to do that, I feel so fantastic. Maybe you're grateful that you're finally getting over some sort of sickness or cold that you're dealing with. That is what we're dealing with over at our house. We have colds. My daughter was the last one to get it, and she just feels so tired and overwhelmed. So maybe you're grateful that you are moving on from that, or maybe you are grateful that you are just getting some extra downtime alone to read a book, take a bath, go on a walk, exercise, maybe watch, something on TV that you really enjoy. That's really good to be grateful for as well. So you see how you can be grateful for anything and everything. The list is never ending, which is absolutely fantastic. And before you end your 5-minute reset, make sure that you're feeling at least neutral, if not positive, about the rest of your day, and hopefully coming up with your gratitude list and really just making the conscious decision to focus more on the positives and the blessings in your life and the things that you are conquering. It will help you to get through those negative times and not focus so hard on what you are struggling with. But like I said at the top of the episode, this week we are talking about how to know you're growing. And today, Wednesday, I am excited to chat with you about you can accept those different from you. And I feel like today's and tomorrow's points of realizing you are growing are the biggest ones and most obvious. I feel like today's and tomorrow's, here's a quick sneak peek. Tomorrow we are talking about you care less what others think about you, which is something we talk about often on the show, obviously, because it's something that I struggle with. It's something that so many people out there struggle with. It's something that can be so hard to get up from under because it's kind of like this crushing weight that really takes you down. So we'll talk about that more tomorrow. But today, I'm talking about accepting those that are different from you. I feel like if you were able to know that to know that you're growing, these are one of the biggest ways and easiest ways, because these ones seem like more obvious than the other points that I'm talking about this week. So when you realize you are able to accept others that are different from you. You have opposite opinions from you, or even those that don't accept who you are, but you still choose to accept who they are. Wow, that's powerful. If you decide to accept people that don't even accept you, this really demonstrates growth. I feel like the last one is like the biggest one. It's like, yes, you're out there accepting others. You're out there accepting other people's opinions that are opposite or different from you. But if you are able to accept someone else and they don't accept you, but you're still willing to be more open-minded and accepting of them, that is true growth. Like, you can't tell me otherwise. It just really is. And you should feel proud of yourself if you have hit these milestones in your life. And do not worry that if you feel like you've hit these milestones, but you feel like you have kind of like rolled backwards a little bit because maybe you went through a struggle and experience or something, and then you find yourself being more cautious and not wanting to, it's okay. You can still grow again. There are no rules or bans or anything like that saying that you can't like grow back into those things. Like, there's nothing. So growth is continuous, and it doesn't matter like whether you have to start over many, many times, it's still qualified growth. So there is so much fear in things that are different than you. Like, I feel like that's one of the biggest reasons, which makes it super hard to accept those that are different, because you just fear like who they are, what they're all about, what could they do to you, how could they challenge you, how could they push you into things that maybe you're not ready for, maybe you don't understand. It's just so uncertain and can be very overwhelming for a lot of people. And people different from us can be unpredictable and hard to control. And when things are unpredictable, everyone feels the stress and weight of that. No one wants to deal with that. You know, it's very comparable to the pandemic that we're in, where, especially at the beginning, where a lot of things were so unpredictable and all the changes that were being made all over the world, you know, rules being in place and people not being able to follow through with plans they had already made in the well in the future, or just to do the regular things that they can do, like go to school or go to work, or, you know, shop at your stores or see your friends and your family, participate in those special events like weddings and funerals. And, you know, there was so much uncertainty. So when there's uncertainty in the world, and there's uncertainty with people that you are, you know, spending time with or having relationships with, it can be really scary. In addition to that, it's hard to control those people, especially if they're different from you, because you really can't control another person. You know, we have this make believe thought process that we can control other people. We just have to figure out the right way to do it. It's all make believe. You know, you think you think you're manipulating the situation, and a lot of times people are able to manipulate the situation very well, but you're not necessarily directly controlling people, because people can always have a choice to make, and it's just them not making that choice, or not feeling like they can make the choice, so you are able to swoop in there and make that choice. Does that make sense? But yes, people that are different from us, hard to control, very, very unpredictable. And even harder than that, some believe that if you accept someone else's opinions, even if those are different than yours, you can feel like there is conflict in that. Conflict in accepting their opinion despite the fact that it's different from yours. Or trying to figure out how multiple opinions considered correct could exist. This is something that I did struggle with when I was younger, because it's hard you know, when you have an opinion, and you feel like it's based in facts and experience and all that, and then someone else comes to you and they have an opinion, but they also say that it's based in facts and experience, it's really hard to understand that there could be multiple opinions in the world where they are correct and they can, you know, live, you know, synonymously, and they can live together in, wow, I just realized I butchered that word, synonymously. Wow. They can live together in the world and just, you know, be there, and like everyone can, because everyone is entitled to their opinion. You know, opinions are just free-flowing thoughts that we decide could be based in fact, but, you know, that really has to be proven. Anyway, we're not going to get on a tangent about that, but yeah, you know, it's hard to believe that someone else can have an opinion and it could be considered correct in a way, and then you can have an opinion, yours can be considered correct. And, you know, because I feel like a lot of us that are very that do struggle with perfectionism, people pleasing, control issues. You think that there's only one right and there's only one wrong, or you think there's only one right and multiple wrongs. And it can be really hard for you to realize that, yeah, multiple people can have different answers and they can all be correct in a different way. It just depends on context and, where they're from and their own personal experiences. And that is okay. But you can feel very challenged, very threatened by that, especially if your experience is like there's one answer and there's one right answer and there are multiple wrong answers. And if you don't have the right answer, then you will feel the shame of that. That goes into something even deeper than that. Or the fact that someone else shares their opinion with you or how they're different, and you find that conflicting because it conflicts with what you believe, and you're like, wow, am I the person that's wrong, or are they wrong, or are we both wrong, and we need to actually go seek out the real knowledge. And again, it's just differing opinions and how you decide to live your life and who you want to be. It's not the end of the world. We can all be different and the world will still exist. Think about all the people that live like across the world from you, like wherever you live, even if you live like in Asia or Africa, Australia, like Europe, wherever you live, or if you live here in the US, just think about like across the world for you and how different those people are in a good way, not in a bad way at all. I'm thinking about how the cultures are significantly different from here in the US to even just Europe, which feels like the closest different continent that is very similar to us. But then I even think about the significant differences between people here in the US and the people that live in Canada, and we're like share a border. So, and even if you think about people that live state to state, I know for a fact that people that live in Washington, where I live, Washington State, definitely spend their times and their daily lives much differently than someone that probably lives in like Texas. So, we're all different and it's fantastic. I think it's a beautiful thing. I talk about it all the time how you can build real communities with people that are different, and that's how we learn and grow from each other. But we get so caught up in how they're different from who we are and who is right and who is wrong. Um, but it's super important to understand that there is enough room in the world for multiple opinions, different kinds of people, and the acceptance that should be coming along with it. There is plenty of room in the world. It exists right now. You live in a bubble of your home or your neighborhood or your state or your community, your city, whatever, and maybe everything seems the same there. But I am telling you, without a shadow of a doubt, if you just step out of that bubble that you live in, you will find people that are significantly different from you and they believe that what they're doing is right. And it probably is, and there's definitely people out there that are doing the wrong thing. And, those differences of opinions will actually matter more in some cases. But just looking in a general sense, like what people that live in a different state than you, what they're doing is fine, what they're doing is correct. Think about what you do on the daily and then what someone that living in Africa does on the daily and how they live their life, or someone that lives in Asia or Australia, or even the scientists that live in Antarctica. So it's just, there are so many people that are different, but the world, our lives and our personal lives can be and are big enough to hold all those different people, different opinions, different ways and walks of life. And we need to be accepting of it. And we will be able to validate our true growth if we do. And sometimes when you want to accept someone different from you or an opposing opinion, which I feel like happens a lot, especially during times of what I like to call political fury, where everyone is just so hyped up on politics that are happening and that are big politics, like, presidential elections or really big, laws and bills that are being passed, like either at the state level or even at the federal level. So, but yeah, you get all, I feel like people get so wrapped up during that time. But yeah, sometimes, when you want to accept someone different from you or an opposing opinion, it doesn't have to be political, it can be anything, whether you like pineapple on pizza or not, which is like the common like go-to OG debate. You may feel like if you do accept their opinion, if you do accept who they are and how they live their life differently from you, you will betray who you are in your own personal beliefs. But that's not the case, and that's something else that I struggled with. I would always think like, okay, well, for the longest time, I'm not shameful to admit this, but it's like I would think, okay, they are different, but if I accept who they are, does that mean I have to change my beliefs? Does that mean I have to change what I accept and what I think is correct and my own personal opinions and how the way that I live my life? But that's not the case, and I feel like it can be really easy to get wrapped up in that, to get wrapped up in thinking, wow, I like feeling like you need to be influenced or swayed by someone else because they have such a convincing argument or statement or opinion, and it feels like it's stronger than the one that you have, but you are still entitled to the one you have. You don't have to necessarily be out there on the regular debating your opinion and trying to convince other people of your opinion and get them swayed on your side per se. No, you can just have it and just have it and just believe it and live your life. And just because someone else shares theirs with you and you want to accept them and accept what they're saying, it doesn't mean that you have to change anything about you. You're just accepting them and understanding that there are multiple opinions and ideas and people in the world, and that is what makes the world beautiful. I hope you agree with that. You have to understand that there is enough room for everyone, everywhere. There really is. There really is. It's that fear that I was talking about at the top. It's that fear that makes us believe that there's not enough room, but there is. There really is. Life shouldn't be inclusive to only what we accept and believe. So important. Again, life shouldn't be inclusive to only what we accept and believe. So let's quickly chat about how we can learn to accept others a bit easier. I have 4 tips with you that I want to share with you real quick. So the first one is you don't need to have an opinion on everything. You're entitled to your opinion. Of course you are. Like everyone is. But you don't need to have an opinion on someone else's opinion. You don't need to have an opinion on how someone else lives their life differently. You don't need to have an opinion on how someone else looks differently than you, or lives in a different place, or has a different job, or makes a different amount of money, or cares about people in a different way. Like, you don't have to have an opinion on that. And I think that by realizing and understanding that you don't have to have an opinion on everything and everyone and what they're doing and how they live their life, then it can help you to accept people a little bit more. Because when you don't feel like you have to put your 2 cents on everything and everyone, then it feels like you don't have to take sides or pick apart someone or try to find negative things about them. That's not really what it's about anyway, but you shouldn't be doing that. And so I think by remembering that you don't have to have an opinion on everything, you can just accept someone and then be on your merry way, and it's fine, and grow and learn from that person. I think that if you take the opportunity to grow and learn from people that are different from you, you will become much stronger and become your better self, even more so than you already were. But at the minimum, accept them and move on. Number 2 is you can only change yourself, not others. So I wanted to make sure that I mentioned this because a lot of times we feel like we can only accept others different than us if we try to go on some sort of, I don't know what you would call it, just some sort of desired journey to change them, to make them more like you, to change their opinion, to change who they are and what they're all about. And we need to not be doing that either. You can only change yourself. A lot of times, people get into relationships and feel like their partner is almost the perfect person for them, but there's just things they want to change about them because they think they're quote unquote helping them, or they think that they could assist them in becoming their best selves. And honestly, you could try that. I've definitely been there before, but it's not going to work. You have to, if someone wants your help to change, yeah, okay, jump right in. But someone cannot change until they have made the decision that they want to change. That's just how it works. Because you could try your hardest to change someone and they could go along with emotions, but if it isn't truly in their heart, it's not going to stick and it's not going to make an actual, true, real difference in their life. So you have to understand that you can really only change yourself. And even if you feel like you can make a difference or make someone different than they are, it's not going to stick. It's also not actually truly accepting them for who they are and how different they are from you. It's really just trying to mold them into something that you are more comfortable with, that you understand more, and that doesn't bring up any sort of fears. And that's really selfish. So don't do that. Number 3, see it from their side. So if you have a difference in opinion on, activities that you like to enjoy, places you like to go, or political parties, or, how you like to construct your bedtime routine, or what kind of health supplements you like to take, or or how you like to drink your coffee. Okay, whatever it is that's different, see it from their side. If you have the courage to do so, I would encourage you to actually just try out what they're doing, and see how you like it. And it doesn't mean that you have to fully adopt like whatever they're doing. It just means you're giving it a try. You're trying to understand more about them and like their viewpoint of their opinion and how they live their life. And I think that's really fair. Even if they don't do that for you, if you do that for them, it's taking a really big step and really saying a lot. So I would encourage you to do that. But if it's just like really like a conversation and passing opinions, you can just be like, a way to see it from someone else's side is to ask more questions and not attacking questions like, how do you think this is going to happen? Or what do you think about this? Or how could you believe that? Like, no, nothing that's attacking. Just be like, ask more questions to learn more. Be like, oh, okay, well, why do you believe that? Oh, okay, well, like, what interests you with this? Or how would you view this policy? Or, okay, well, if you had to do this and this and this, what would your choices be? Or have you heard anything about this? And, just really being interested in actually what they're saying, not just like pretending that you're listening, actually listening, actively listening. See it from their side, understand where they're coming from, understand like how they formed their opinion and where they got to where they are, what experiences they had to go through to become who they are or think the way that they are thinking. Like, there's no problem in seeing it from their side. It's not going to necessarily ruin the opinion or the lifestyle that you have. It might impact it. It might just inspire it to change if you find that you like that, if you like those experiences, if you like those opinions, if those resonate with you more, fine. But it doesn't have to. It's not a necessary thing. It's just more of like, if it affects you, then you could choose to do what you want with it. So see it from their side. And the last one and last tip that I want to share with you today is realize how hurtful it would be for you to be seen as you see them. So basically, if you just like flip the coin and you're like, if you imagined you not being accepted by them because you're different, because they don't align with your opinions and thoughts and beliefs, like think about how terrible you would feel, and think about how unfair that would be, and how much of an outcast you would feel like, and how much shame that can really put on someone. I think that one of the best ways to understand what someone's going through, or to really decide if you want to inflict any sort of pain or discomfort on someone or not accept them for who you are, is to really just think about someone doing that to you. And don't do the whole thing where it's like, oh, well, that would never happen to me. Yeah, okay, it might not. But if it did, as it is happening to people in the world, just so you know it is happening, um, think about how it would feel. Think about how it would actually feel to go through that. And I'm not saying that means that you need to extend them like to be your best friend or anything. You just need to demonstrate respect and understanding, acceptance, and then just move forward. How terrible would it be to know that people aren't accepting you, think that you're weird, think that you're different, know that you are, and flag that as bad? Like, that's terrible. That's not demonstrating kindness, or acceptance or love or joy or peace or anything. Nor is it really being on the road to becoming your best self. So maybe think about that. But that's all I have to share with you guys today. Thank you so much for listening to the Real Positive Girl podcast with me, Sabrina. Remember to check the description box below for notes for the show, where to find me on Instagram, or send me an email with any questions, comments, concerns, prayer requests, feedback, topic suggestions, or just to say hey, hi, and hello to me. just a reminder, if you're still listening, I posted on the podcast Instagram that I'm looking for personal advice questions from people. You don't have to include your name or anything, and I will not say that on the show, but I would like to compile a list of questions to go through for a whole week that I will make a week topic about. So if you're interested in that, please send me those on Instagram or via email. But tomorrow we'll be talking about you care less what others think about you in terms of knowing that you're growing. But until then, have a good one, and I will see you next time. Bye, guys.